so let's say you're somebody that's playing once in a while. What are the main tips that you think are most useful?
Well, I mean, it's again, making music is really going to make a big difference. That's what. Although I was DJ, I was fortunate enough to have a good DJ career. I think I was a bit of an enigma at that. There was an enigma in that respect, and it was a different time where
Yeah.
there wasn't as many DJs as there. Everyone's a DJ now. Everyone I know is a DJ, and it's like, because it's easy. You don't have to invest anything. You can do it on your phone. You don't have to pay for music. It's not that difficult with sync. It's really anybody who's technically a DJ, whether they're any good or not. It's about having a bit of luck and the right connections, or there's loads of ways to get in. But now if you can make music, it's what's going to take you from being known in your local town to being known all over the world, because the power of the internet, you can just find the right bit of luck and the right bit of magic, and all of a sudden you can be DJing all over the world. So it happens every day. A star's born every 10 seconds, just like making a track, a bootleg, and all of a sudden the right DJ picks it up and plays it on an Instagram video, and all of a sudden you've got a million new followers. It happens all the time. So don't be afraid to start making music. It seems scary, still is a bit, but just get started. Just get a copy of Ableton, whatever. Just start making some bootlegs and making some mixes on there, and then you'll gradually learn. You've got to practice, and the more you practice, the better your music will get. Eventually, you'll strike gold. And if you put enough, make 1,000 tracks, it might take you 1,000 tracks, but one of them's going to get you some gigs. It'll happen. So just don't be afraid to start making music. I think that's the thing I wish I'd started earlier. I did 7 years without making music, and I wish every day I'd gone to uni and done music instead of an English degree. I wish I'd spent less time at after parties and more time making music. Although that time at after parties is what built me my relationships with some of the most important people in music. So it's just, I think everything happened for a reason, but put some effort into music, because being a DJ, you haven't got the currency without that music as well. It's going to help, and don't be afraid when it doesn't connect, because I release tunes all the time and they don't do anything and no one hears it, and it's demoralizing. But you've just got to keep going. And someone mentioned Piano Weapon before, which was it took me and Shadow Child about 2 hours to make that, and we just played it one night on Rinse FM, and it went to it's the biggest record I've ever released, probably. It's like, it was just insane. And then there's tracks that I've worked on for 2 years and they're the best thing I've ever done, and no one ever knows about it. It doesn't. You don't know what's going to be popular. It takes a lot of magic to make a record a success. Just sometimes it's pure luck.
So what about quality? Like when we were kind of having a brief chat about this before, you were talking about like consistently delivering quality and make sure that it was presented correctly.
Yeah, I think now more than ever, like, quality over quantity is a good thing. I mean, if you look back at my back catalogue, a lot of these tips, by the way, take them as my mistakes. You don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. I made them, and now it's quite easy to say don't do it, but I'm not being a hypocrite, because I've made pretty much all of these mistakes that I'm about to tell you about before, because it's just, I didn't know what I was doing. But try not to release. Basically, people switch off if you start releasing a load of substandard stuff. People just stop listening. So just make sure you really deliver quality, and unless you're really proud of something, don't release it, because what's the point? Because then you're going to be hiding from it. My Spotify right now, you can't choose the order like you can on SoundCloud. You can choose that you can present how you want to be presented. With Spotify, it goes on numbers. Four of the five tracks in my Spotify, I don't really want people to be listening to anymore, but they're my biggest selling tracks, so I can't change that. And it's not up to you what is the most popular. Now I just have to live with that, and it's just just make sure it's good, now it's your exposure, and social media, when you put online, stays there forever. So try to just make sure your quality stays high, and you don't lose interest of people. It's fine throwing a lot of stuff out and trying to find things under different aliases and stuff, but if you're going to be sending it to kind of big names and stuff, just make sure you send the good stuff. And because otherwise next time they won't listen to your demos, because they'll be like, well, that stuff was terrible. It's not. Make sure when you send stuff to people, it's something that you think they'll be into. Don't just send anything. Don't send 100 tracks of various stages. Send what you think they'll
Hyper-targeted.
genuinely like. Yeah. So yeah, focus on that. Yeah. So quality over quantity if you can. If your quality is not there yet, but you still like it, then just try it. But it will. And it is a progressive thing. My early stuff, like the Bon Jovi track, that was my first track.
Everybody Googling that after the call.
Yeah, it was called Bon. I don't know if I even released it properly. I put it on my Essential Mix, but I don't know if I ever actually found a label mental enough to put a track out sampling Bon Jovi. I don't think I did. It's going to be my
new ringtone.
Yeah, I think it's a secret bootleg, not bootleg, like it's a dub plate that I don't think anyone's got or ever will have.
Well, we get a lot of artists, and they do say that. They go, look, I have finished tracks, but I just don't think they're quite there. And they want to, they have that bite where they want to just start releasing. Some of the advice I give them sometimes is just come up with a throwaway alias. And if you really want to start releasing them, just something that you don't mind killing and that nobody will know it's you. And just so you can get used to the process and get used to all that kind of stuff. What do you think of that strategy?
Good idea. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the danger is it'll connect, and then you'll have an alias. Like, I wish I'd done that with the dubstep stuff. I wish I'd come up, because it didn't really matter. No one knew my DJ name was DJ Martin Doorlly at the time. I didn't have it was Mark Newton who became my manager quickly, and I didn't have social media. He set me up a MySpace page. He made me drop the name Martin, just had Doorlly, so I just became Doorlly, did a logo, and that's when I released the dubstep thing. And I kind of wish I didn't do that. I wish I'd done it under an alias now.
Yep.
But again, I made all these connections, and everyone knows Doorlly. It's like, whether for good reasons or bad reasons musically, I've got a lot of friends around the world now, and everyone, my real friends, supported me in my transition as well. So
yeah. Okay, so that's the quality over the quantity. Like, what I know a lot of people struggle with is getting the music signed, actually getting people to listen to it, getting it signed. Like, one reason I like to lean on the relationships bit a lot and really drill that home to people is because that's just an easy way of getting it in there. But what are your thoughts on getting music signed? What's the tips you'd give?
Well, building relationships is really important, and most important is just being a nice person at all times. Don't ever be a dick, because people don't want to help dicks. Just be nice to everyone. Whether for me it's easy because I'm a nice person and I like to be nice to people. If you're not a nice person, just at least be nice, like to everyone anyway, and you'll get into it. It feels good to be nice. And I'm sure everyone here is a nice person, by the way. But just, don't react to things. Always be the bigger person, and help, and do what you can to help, and be generous, and that goes a long way. And you find friends. And do you know what? Some of the most important people in music that I know now were glass collectors at parties I've played at, and interns at record labels, and they're all big artists and big promoters and bookers and managers and agents, and they're my friends of 20 years from when I helped them out on something, and now they help me out. It's like being a good person all through life is going to really, really help, and also supporting people.
Surprisingly good strategy, isn't it? Just being cool and making friends.
It seems so obvious, but it doesn't seem, when you look at the way the world is, it doesn't seem to be that way. But especially the music industry. But those people are popular when they're on the way up. But when you have a hiatus in your career, which everybody does, no one's going to help you get out of it because they remember what you were like on the way up. So it's like network, and show some support to. If there's a record label or a party you want to sign with, or an artist you want to align with, just go to the party and support them. Interact with them on social media. It takes me, I meet so many people, it sometimes takes me 3 or 4 or 5 times to remember people, because I meet 100 people at a party, I'll meet them again a year later and they'll remember me, and I'm like, no, remind me. And then it might take 3 or 4. Some of our best friends have gone through this awful process where I don't remember people. I've got a scatterbrain, and just keep turning up, and eventually we'll end up becoming friends, because as long as you sound, we'll end up becoming friends. You'll probably end up working with me or signed to my label if your music's right. Just, we're all human beings, and we notice that person in the front of the crowd that's there at every gig, that's buying our music, that's supporting us on social media. Eventually, when they've got something to offer, I'll take more notice of it than a total stranger, because I'll think, oh, they've supported me all my life. I want to help that person out. They come to all my parties. They play my music. They're nice to me. You want to help those people out more. I mean, I want to help everybody out, but if somebody that's really been there in my life,
care about on some level,
they're gonna go jump to the top of my list to help, and they become, most of my friends I've met through music in this way. So, you know, just go out and do that kind of stuff. You know, it really helps. It really does.
Yeah, that's it. It's like that is the advice we always get. It's always the relationships. It's the quickest way to get signed, and it's one of those. It's good news and it's bad news. It's great news because it's easy to do, especially in a scene that's so social. The bad news is it's not a quick button you can press. You know, it's not a hack or a Facebook trick. You actually just got to go out and love it and go to the parties, go to IMS, go to ADE.
Yeah.
Infiltrate whatever way you can.
Well, this is like this course, you know, for example, and my DJ Academy, you know, there's so many benefits from this that you're learning skills. But what I find from these things is the networking is the most important thing that people gain from these.
Yeah.
With my retreats, like all the stuff we teach people is amazing. But what I tend to find is the network between not only so at my retreat, you'll become friends with Gorgon City or me or Nightmares on Wax or Juliet Fox or whoever's there talking, or Mikey or me, you know, we'll become longtime friends. And within the students, sometimes they'll become double acts. They'll book each other for each other's parties, release on labels. That network is what progresses them quicker in their career than their musical skills. The musical skills come next and keep building. But when the tracks are ready, you know me already, so I'm going to help you out because I'm going to. Yeah, you'll jump to the top. You'll have my phone number. We'll see each other a lot. You know that it helps, and that network is. And same with you. You know, your students will jump to the top of your attention list to help with whatever you're doing with them. So it really does. Yeah, and it's not like you don't consciously do that. It just, you're going to help your friends out more than you're going to help a stranger, because you have only got so many hours in the day, really, haven't you? So
well, again, it's just down to the relationships thing. If I don't know you and I hit you up a DM on Facebook, just please listen to my track, you might not get, there's only so many of those you can get around to replying to or listening to or reading. Whereas if I sat with you for 5 days and I beat them, we've hung out and we've had conversations, we've had a beer. If I mail you that track, you're going to reply. You know, even if you can't listen to it right now, you'll probably hit me back and go, look, I can't listen to this right now. I'll check it out later, and it'll get replied to. It's just the way the world works.
I get like 10,000 music promos a day, and people sending me demos, and it's just like, you know, it gives me a lot of anxiety. Yeah, well, I get anxiety by it because I want to help everybody, but I'm only human, you know. I've got lots of other responsibilities in my life, and like I do my best, you know. But people will be waiting a long time sometimes. But my priority goes to the people that I've got in my network. So yeah.
I have Emma asking, what do you think of when it comes to the releasing side? Hitting up a label and releasing on it. Let's say if you're not at the point where the big labels are looking at it yet, what do you think of label versus a self-release on your own label?
I mean, yeah, you've got to try. Go through there's lots of like labels that do demo hunt competitions. There's usually a demo link on each record label's Instagram or socials, and just send them just keep sending them. Just make sure when you do send them, you do it in a good way where it's like easy for them to do. A Dropbox download link and a SoundCloud link to listen there. So some people prefer to download them and listen to them later, like me, where I'll just throw them in the Dropbox and then listen to them on the road. Or when I haven't got Wi-Fi, you know, I'll sync them with my iPad and I just listen to demos. Some people prefer to listen there and then on the internet. So, you know, make sure your pitch is there, ready, you know, write a nice, polite message. Don't just be like, here's my demo. Tell a story about why you want to be on there. Show some passion. Social media handles, you know, make it you're pitching here for like a life-changing opportunity. So, you know, we may or may not see the email, but, you know, when we do, if it's just a link, you're probably going to listen to it less than if you do when there's a pitch and a polite.
I'll never listen to just a link. Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you know, it's like, and just go through the right channels or try and meet the person first if you can. It's not hard to meet. You know, go and hang around by a DJ box long enough. You'll meet the person that's playing, and give them a USB stick, or just say, "Here's a link." You know, whatever. You know, just can I get your demo email address? Because I've got about 6 email addresses. One of them is in particular for my music demos, which is what will get listened to first, because I'll get loads of it. The rest of it's just spam. People have somehow got my address, and most of that is spam, you know. But if it's gone to my demo address, I've given that email out. Mikey, it's probably a good chance to do the breakaway because I just need to run and grab my laptop's just being delivered.
Oh yeah,
from
sweet,
repair.
perfect. Okay, well I'll tell you, I'm gonna do some Q&A with them rather than a breakout. So you run and grab your laptop, and let's pull people up into the chat.
2 seconds, yeah, cool.
Okay, so can I ask, so far, while Dorley runs to grab his laptop, what are we finding useful so far? What's been good so far? And I think what we'll do is I'll get them to blast around the turn stuff and the relationship stuff quite quickly, and then we'll get some Q&A in because I've got a lot of questions coming in. What do we got going on here? Good to hear the story. Yes, I think it's just nice to see. I always love seeing the story from day zero to, you know, somebody that's touring a lot and releasing with all the right labels, because I know everybody on this call will want to play a lot in the clubs that they want to play. You want to release on the label, you want to do those big things, and sometimes it might seem like it's a bit of a lotto, that it's going to be impossible to get there, but really, I think what he's laid out so far on the call is that he didn't actually really get a lucky break. It wasn't, he'd already had his essential mix before anything went big. I think the lesson from this, and actually I didn't even know this really about Dorley, was that he just played like fuck. And really that's the goal. You should be just playing as much as you can play. If you don't have any gigs, get some gigs. It was really funny, actually. I asked him earlier on, give me some bullet points on what you would like to talk about. And the very last sentence in his WhatsApp was a sentence that I say to the students here on this call every single week, which is gigs breed gigs. If you get gigs, more gigs come. So just get playing as much as you can. Roger says, Mikey, how do you find a good plugger to promote the songs to the radio stations? What I always recommend at this level is do it yourself. Literally, you can pay a PR agent to do it, but really you're going to be looking at thousands. Whereas you can build a spreadsheet of radio stations really, really quickly, using some simple strategies. If you go onto LinkedIn, you can find all of the pluggers for all of the radio stations. You can use the Rocket Reach extension, Rocket Reach on Chrome, to find their email address. You can put them in a spreadsheet and you can hit them up every single month for free. That's the easiest way to do that. Very true, Mikey. Got offered a gig to support Furco at Grand Yard, Soho after my elevation show. Nice. Congratulations. Okay, can I get some questions for Dorley into the chat? Because he's going to be back in a couple of minutes. What do we want to get out of him before the call is over? I think we got him back. James, I feel like I'm the right trajectory as a producer with signing to my dream labels and starting to get Radio 1 plays. Yes, and you are definitely. Dorley, James wants to know. So he's signing to some good labels, really good labels, getting Radio 1 plays. What would be his next step with regards to getting booking agents interested in representing him so the gigs can start coming in? Is it a case of waiting for them to approach you? What do you think?
Yeah, it's harder now than ever because there's so much out there. So you've just got to keep. You could go and get yourself a crappy agent and a cowboy manager that isn't really going to necessarily benefit you that much unless their network's great and they've got some muscle. It's probably better to just wait and just keep making the impact, because you don't really need a manager and an agent, unless you've got some real traction and currency in the market, which is fans, really. Your currency is your fans. So until you've got the fans, you're not really worth much to the bigger promoters, because they can just pick from those people who have got fans and networks. So, just keep building your network up, and eventually the managers and agents will come. For me, it was those dubstep remixes, and I took my pick of the best in the world, and I've been lucky enough to work with the best in the world all the way. So, I'd be patient, and really, you don't need a manager, and I haven't got a manager. At some points in my career I do. At the moment, I don't. My wife does a lot of stuff for me. I have an agent. I have a couple of agents in different territories, but for quite big chunks of my career, I haven't had an agent. When you're not as popular and hot, managing like a few gigs isn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're hot again, and you can't handle it anymore. You need to bring in a team.
Yeah.
At the moment, I've just got a good, I've just got a good workflow, and it is tough sometimes, but I save myself a lot of money in commission. So you don't necessarily need a manager, even at the. I'm a very busy DJ and producer, and I don't really need a manager right now. Don't get me wrong. If the right opportunity comes around, I might go with someone again. It just depends on what feels right. But I'm not out there chasing it, because unless they really want to work with you, you're not going to be a priority. You're just going to be wallowing on the bottom of the roster, getting no attention. Whereas if someone comes after you and headhunts you and chases you, then they're going to be as passionate about your career as you are. What I find, if you don't find them, is get somebody in your friend circle to be your assistant and help with those things that actually cares about you. Because it'll go further than just somebody who's taking you on as a hedge in the bets. So yeah, don't rush that part. Just wait till they come to you.
Yeah, and any booking agent worth their salt that you chat to will always say that they won't take on an artist until they can see that their 20% cut is going to make it worth their while immediately, and that they can immediately add on to that. So you get a lot of artists that they think if they get a booking agent, it's going to solve their booking problems, but you kind of got to solve your own booking problems first before an agent's going to be interested. It's
easy to blame not having an agent, or even when you've got an agent, blame them for why you haven't got bookings, because it feels like social media is awful for that. You just see everybody's got busy diaries, and obviously there's some agents that have such good networks that they can break artists, and managers that can break artists that overnight with putting them on support for the bigger artists. But most of the time it's the artists that do the hard work and
at the start.
Make the music, network, become bookable, and then the agents and managers don't want to have to do all that. Some are great at it, but mostly if they've got a hot prospect that's just on fire and everybody wants a piece of it, then it makes it easier for them to just pick the best gigs and make sure they don't make any bad decisions and elevate them quickly. Whereas starting with somebody who's got nothing going on, no network, no hype, and no music, it's just what are you supposed to do? You just got to wait for them to. You've got to do that part yourself, and I still have to do that. But if I don't do that, during the pandemic, I took a lot of people did lots of streaming. I chose to make lots of music and basically take 2 years off social media, because I hate that part of my life, and it was amazing to get to know my baby and not live my life online. Unfortunately, because it's such an important part of your job, my hype has gone down a lot in 2 years, and now I'm kind of rebuilding again because of that, which is fine because I've still got plenty going on. But that you'll see lots of artists made careers during this pandemic by lots of streaming, lots of social media, and they're the top of the lineups now because of that move. For me, I've got 3 years worth of music that I can release now, but my algorithms on social media are just dead because I've not put the effort in. But also, it's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to. I dreamed of this time where I could delete my social media. Unfortunately, when you've got a career, you can't do that. But for those 2 years, it was like a magical look into my retirement where I don't have to live online anymore.